Following Autumn will be Mac Worthy and Roger Dufer.
Hello. I just want to say that regardless of whether you guys like Occupy or support it, I think everyone, especially people in government, should support their citizens' right to voice their concerns and dissenting opinions. When people come in here and they come and talk to you guys like this, and they feel like you guys don't answer their questions or try to resolve their problems, what other venue do they have to complain? I mean, let's be honest here. There is none. So people standing out in front of the city hall, not disrupting people working here, holding a sign quietly, or even talking on a megaphone, telling other people, hey, this is wrong, isn't hurting anyone at all. I think it's really weird that the city is spending so much time and effort trying to prevent people from standing on the city hall lawn, voicing their opinions about government issues, but it's perfectly okay for people in Southside Park at a city-sponsored event to get drunk out of their mind and then run down my street screaming at the top of their lungs, and I call the police and they don't even send one cop. But the moment one of these Occupy protesters gets too loud and rowdy, or they appear to be drunk, or people assume they're drunk because they're a homeless person with epilepsy and they're having a seizure, 15 cops come rushing down the street, sirens blaring, and the person gets hauled off to jail. Are we that disconnected with our fellow human being that we find someone voicing their dissenting opinion more threatening than someone who actually is drunk, spewing threats at someone in their own neighborhood? You know, I mean, like, this is ridiculous. There are 7 people who were considered to be minorities in the past sitting on this council. It is disgusting and offensive to me as a woman and a woman of color that there are people up here that are minorities supporting this thing. Because you, neither one of you, and you would not be up there if people in the past did not have the right to march out in the street and get insanely loud and say things people did not like. My final thought is, if you really, really like your job, because I voted last time and I voted against you, Mayor, because of your opinion on this whole thing, if you like your job and you really represent the people, you're not going to pass this thing.
Mac Worthy.
Good evening, council members, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak here, although I have to say I do also oppose this ordinance. I think that it is, this is really the point when this stops becoming the people's building and becomes your building as if you own it and paid for it. And this is supposed to be a government by the people, for the people, and this is really just bad policy. Frankly, I'd like to point out also that you honored the veterans earlier, but a lot of those same veterans are the people here with Occupy opposing this ordinance, because that's not why they went to fight overseas for our rights. I'd like to point out on another note that there is a new ruling out of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals on homelessness rights of homeless people, and a lot of the things that the city is doing right now are illegal under that ruling. And ordinances like this are just actually going to exacerbate the problem. It's getting worse and worse. You've heard person after person after person saying they oppose this ordinance and they want city doing other things, and yet you go ahead and vote for these kinds of ordinances anyway. And so again, how is this a government by the people, for the people, if you just ignore everything we say and move ahead with kicking us off of City Hall at the times you like and in the ways you like? I think that there are better things you could be doing with your time, a lot better things. Other cities are. When I go to their council meetings, they're giving out microloans and things like that to small businesses to create jobs, moving their money to nonprofit credit unions and things like that. And I'd like to all of you to imagine yourselves maybe 15 years from now in front of a classroom of children who say, wow, you were a council member during the Second Great Depression. What did you do to help? And I'd like you to think about that. I'm not going to get an answer now, I think, but think about, what did you do to help? Did you waste $500,000 of taxpayer money trying to fight these people? We need your final thought, please. And my final thought is that a lot of money and time has been wasted on this kind of thing, and a lot of other important issues are being ignored. Thank you.
Kim?
Hey guys, it's been like 6 months I've been hanging out, reading and stuff, so I wanted to come down and talk to you. I had a Facebook post. I hate to admit it, but it was Facebook, and it had been brought to my attention that this particular ordinance is being considered. As has already been stated, the majority of you actually would not be allowed to sit in your seats were it not for folks being out in the streets, being hit with fire hoses, being beaten by police, being out there agitating the masses. Because frankly, I'm an individual who works 45 hours a week. I go to school full time. I don't have a lot of time to really set aside and do research and stuff. So when folks see these things going on in our communities, they open up their eyes and their ears and begin to understand that we have major issues that need to be addressed. The one thing that really strikes me as odd is that the city of Sacramento has a very specific honor. We're the seat of government for our state. We owe it to our city, our state, and our nation to be leaders, to find solutions, and to bring progress and prosperity to this area, rather than continue to restrict the rights and services of folks that are living in the greater Sacramento region. In my studies over the past several months, I've had an opportunity to sit down and go through a lot of books, speeches, and such. And I had an opportunity to sit down and read a book by a gentleman named Thomas Paine. Thomas Paine has a book that many of you have hopefully read called Common Sense, in which he describes a government that represses its people, a government that puts profit over people, that essentially sets forth a matter, or I should say a series of events that eventually leads to open and violent revolution against that government. We're building that same system. It's astonishing. If you sit down and read that book, you can draw parallels between what is going on in city, state, and federal government and what, at the time, Great Britain was doing to us. We've had generation after generation of bloodshed, of war, of protests, so that we could sit here and have a diverse council that can help us address these issues. And rather than sitting down with the people and finding solutions together, you seek to tell them that they have a specific area they can protest in. You seek to limit the rights that gave you the positions that you have today.
Can we get your final thought, please?
Absolutely. My final thought would be that this ordinance is not progress. We've got a barely functioning, highly unstable economy, thousands of homeless and impoverished people. We have significantly more important socioeconomic issues to address rather than wasting time and resources on something as silly as a right that we should be given, not one that we should have to fight for day after day after day.
Darlene?